They don't have no rule book for what you can and can't do to another people. You don't know who the hell you dealing with. You think if you kiss their ass long enough, you think that if you regurgitate their scholarship long enough, you think that if you get enough of their college degrees, you think if you marry one of their daughters, you think if you pray to their white Jesus, you think that if you worship their scholars in history and if you pledge loyalty to the Constitution, that they will leave your black ass alone. You are wrong.
Can speak a bit more freely about it now. Why isn't he back on First Take then? Because he signed with FS1. See, I didn't want Shannon Sharpe and that was it. I wanted them both. I wanted Michael Irvin and Shannon Sharpe. But I said this to people in positions of power. Let me speak as a black man. If this man can have his career tarnished over a video of him simply talking to someone in a hotel lobby that he did not touch, that he did not leave with, that we have no audio whatsoever of whatever he said to them, what does that say for the rest of us? Michael Irvin is a sensational television talent. I just know that when it comes to us, we need love, and we need to feel that love from other people. And I'm very unapologetic about that, about expressing it. It's that Karen woman in Central Park sitting there talking about, I'm gonna call the police and say a black man is bothering me. We're living in the year 2023, and the fact that we still have to find ourselves concerned about this kind of BS is really alarming.
So a white person can marry you. That's not a contradiction of white supremacy. They can have sex with you. That's not a contradiction of white supremacy. They can go to your church and pray with you. That's not a contradiction of white supremacy. They can live next door to you. That is not a contradiction of white supremacy. They can laugh and joke with you. That is not a contradiction of white supremacy. They can join your black organization. That is not a contradiction of white supremacy. White supremacy is about controlling the resources and the opportunities. It has nothing to do with emotions. It has nothing to do with feelings. It has nothing to do with relationships. Let me give you an example. In college, as we all know, a lot of white girls throw themselves at black athletes. All of you who've been to college, you have watched white girls throw themselves at black athletes. Or black guys in general. They sleep with them, sex them up, swallow them up, the whole thing, right? That same white girl that was dating black young men in college at 18 and 20 and 25. That same white girl that was sleeping around with the brothers at 20. If you find her at 40, she might be the district attorney locking up the same black men she used to sleep with 20 years ago in college. Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? You understand me? The same white kids that listen to the gangster rap, the same white kids that play on your football team with you, your starting quarterback and your starting tight end, the same white guys you make music with, 10 years later, they will have a law degree and they'll be locking your ass up. Okay? Or if they see their sister looking at you, they'll go tell your sister, you better stay away from him. See, the problem with black people is we make this assumption that what white people show us is necessarily who they are. Black people have this assumption that what white people show us is who they necessarily are. White culture is based on military science. That's how they've been so successful. White culture is totally based on military science. They never drop their guard around black folks, but they love to make black people think the guard had been dropped. Bill Cosby, perfect example. Look at all those white girls. He was taking care of them, giving them money, looking out for them. He thought that when they were behind closed doors, it was just about him and her. Not at all. She is always an agent of white supremacy, even when you between her legs. The white woman is always an agent of white supremacy, even when you are between her legs. And the reason why some of you Negroes can't stand me is because I won't co-sign your love of white folks. You hate the fact that I keep on reminding you that they're not your friends, because if you know that they're not your friends, why the hell did you marry one of them? If you know they're not your friends, why the hell you move out the ghetto and move right next door into an all white town to be with them? See, if you know that there's a war against African people, then your white loving behavior cannot be justified and accepted, and that's why you would rather shut me up. That's why you would rather shut me up. Because I'm the only black scholar you know in this country who tells you that you're not allowed to date outside your race. Every other fake ass hotep speaker on YouTube, every other so-called this and so-called that, they all make excuses for you to stick your little wee-wee in a white girl. They all make them excuses. They all make them excuses. Or they'll say you can't sleep with a white one, but you could go get you a Mexican. You could go get you an Arab. You could go get you an East Indian. I've heard excuses made by my Moorish brothers. I've heard excuses made by my Nawapian brothers. I've heard excuses even made by some of my God and Earth brothers. I've heard excuses made by some black nationalists. I'm the only scholar that tells you you ain't got no business sticking your wee-wee in anything other than your African queen. That's why you hate my guts. That's why you say I don't have real degrees, because you ain't never seen a Negro with my credentials talk to you the way that I talk to you. You would have to grow back to Dr. Khalid Abdul-Muhammad. He was the last real doctor to give you that unapologetically African doctrine. I am the first since Dr. Khalid to give it to you like this. And the only Pan-Africanist to give it to you like this since Garvey. That's why you got a problem with me. Rule number one, all white people are racist. I didn't say you got to mistreat them. I didn't say you got to hate them. You got to understand them. That's all, brothers and sisters. When you see a pit bull dog, do you hate the pit bull? No. But you know that pit bull got some tendencies that you don't necessarily want to evoke, so you keep your distance from the pit bull. You don't hate the pit bull. I love snakes. I love snakes. But guess what? I know snakes got certain types of natural tendencies that I don't necessarily want to find myself on the wrong side of. So I keep my distance from the snakes. So I'm not telling you to hate white folks. I don't teach hate. I'm telling you to understand your enemy and know when your behavior needs to be adjusted so that you don't fall victim to the enemy. That's what I teach. I don't teach hatred. Hatred is energy. I want you to use every ounce of energy at your disposal to help us rebuild the infrastructure of the Pan-African movement. I want you to use every ounce of your energy to help us rebuild the structure of Black America, the Black Caribbean, Black South America, Black Australia, Black England, Black Canada, Black Africa. I don't want you wasting time hating white folks. That's valuable energy. That's valuable energy. Why the hell will I tell you to hate your enemy? If hating your enemy was going to solve your problems, we'd be free already. I will never teach hate. I ain't got to hate my enemy, but I got to understand my enemy, and I got to defeat my enemy. I do not have to hate him. If you've ever taken martial arts, if any of you have ever taken martial arts, one of the first things they teach you in martial arts, and I took Taekwondo right here in the streets of North Philadelphia as an elementary school student. In Taekwondo, the first thing the instructor teaches you, your emotions are never to be wasted on your opponent. Your emotions are to be channeled into constructive activity. Your emotions are never supposed to be wasted on your opponent. Your emotions are supposed to be channeled into constructive activity. All white people are racist. The young ones, the old ones, the rich ones, the liberal ones, the Democrats, the Republicans, the Greeks, the Romans, the Anglo-Saxons, the Dutch, the Swedes, the Jews, the Irish, the Italians, the poor ones, the rich ones, the celebrities, the not celebrity, the homeless white. They're all racist because they all have an obligation to protect white privilege and power. There can't be white privilege and power without racism. If you eliminate racism, then where are they going to get the white privilege from? White privilege is based on an unfair advantage. It is based and perpetrated on an unfair advantage. How the hell are you going to keep white privilege without racism? They go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. And that's why you got white folks who will run around and tell you they not racist. You got white folks who will run around and tell you they're not racist, to which you should turn around and ask them, what have you done to get rid of the white privilege that you benefit from since you're not a racist? The next time a white person tells you that they are not racist, your next question should be, the next time a white person tells you that they are not a racist, your next question should be, what have you done to do away with the white privilege that you live off? How did you get rid of your white privilege? How? How did you? When did you get rid of your white privilege? so that you and I can be equal. If you and I are equal, that means there's no white privilege. When did you get rid of that white privilege? Number 2. Rule number 1, all white people are racist. Rule number 2, white people don't share power with black folks. White people do not share power with black people. White people do not share power with black people. White people, if you tell me that you're about to do some investing with a white man, I can tell you that at some point in that relationship, unless you are extremely careful, and you can never be too careful because they control the entire legal apparatus, at some point you're going to get manipulated out of your holdings because white people don't share power with black folks. You are out of your African mind if you think you're going to enter into a lifelong partnership with a white person. You are out of your mind. Michael Jackson, rest in peace, the greatest entertainer in history, highest selling recording artist ever, had a relationship with Sony Records. Sony got him killed. The artist known as Prince had a relationship with Warner Brothers, made him billions of dollars, and Warner Brothers turned around and got him killed. Russell Simmons had a relationship with Def Jam, but Russell Simmons no longer occupies that position he once had in Def Jam. White people don't share power. So when you hear a black politician tell you that we are going to share the wealth of America, we're going to share the wealth of this city, we're going to share the political power, the economic power, they're lying to you. White people don't share with no damn body, and especially not black folks. White people don't share with no damn body, and especially not black folks. If you disagree with me, I would challenge you. Can you please show me an example anywhere in history where white folks shared equal power with black folks in any situation whatsoever? Business, politics, relationships. Show me where white folks share with blacks. They do not. In fact, what has been the biggest propaganda point during this current wave of gentrification in the black community? White folks are coming in, buying up the black community, and they tell you what? We're coming to share in the neighborhood revitalization efforts with you. Ain't that what they say in New York? Ain't that what they say right here in Philadelphia? Isn't that what they told DC? Isn't that what they tell Black Los Angeles? They say, we are not here to move you out. We are here to share. White folks don't share shit. They don't share power. Get out of my face with that bullshit. Rule number 3. Rule number 1, all white people are racist. Rule number 2, they don't share power with black folks. Rule number 3, white supremacy is ruthless. 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 White supremacy is ruthless. Machiavelli said it best: the ends will always justify the means. If we got to pump your boys full of autism, if we got to pump AIDS into your homosexuals, if we got to homosexualize and lesbianize your boys, whatever we got to do, if we got to go to Africa and poison the food and poison the soil, if we got to give you poor health care, if we have to use your prisoners as research monkeys, whatever we got to do, mass genocide, abortion, hysterectomy, whatever we got to do, it don't matter what we do. There is no sin so great that white supremacy will not use it. There is no sin so great that white supremacy will not use it. There is no sin. There is nothing that you can name where the white folks will say, we're not going to do that because that's just wrong. You will never see that. You will never see that. You will never see that. World War II, they said you can't drop the atomic bomb on the Japanese people because that'll kill the babies and the women and the unborn and mess the soil up. When I was in Japan a couple years ago, they told me that the area where America dropped the nuclear bomb, food still don't grow. Nothing can live there even now. America, the only nation to drop a nuclear weapon on another people. They don't have no political morals. They don't have no economic boundaries or borderlines. They don't have no rule book for what you can and can't do to another people. You don't know who the hell you dealing with. You think if you kiss their ass long enough, you think that if you regurgitate their scholarship long enough, you think that if you get enough of their college degrees, you think if you marry one of their daughters, you think if you pray to their white Jesus, you think that if you worship their scholars in history and if you pledge loyalty to the Constitution, that they will leave your black ass alone. You are wrong. They don't give a damn about you. Stop investing so much of your time into kissing white folks' rear end because it will never pay off. You invest in them, they have never invested in you. You invest in them, they have never invested in you. They are ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. And what is the fourth rule of racism? Rule number one, all white people are racist. We didn't say they hate black folks, but they are racist. They want to control the resources and the opportunities. That's all racism is. Control of resources and opportunities. Systematic, inequitable, unfair, biased distribution. White folks don't believe in equality. Equality is a sin. White supremacy means they must always look better than black people. So equality is a sin. America has never been equitable. America will never be equitable. There has never been a day in the history of this nation. There has never been a single day in the history of this nation where black people were treated fairly and equally. You can't give me a day. If you know of a day, give me a goddamn day. Give me the day. Name a day. Give me a date where on that one day for 1 hour, 2 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, give me a date where on that day white folks treated black folks equally for an hour. You can't give me a minute. You can't give me a second. They are always scheming on how to disadvantage black folks even more than they already have disadvantaged us. Did you hear what I just said?